Is this a purebred divine dragon? Is this a purebred wind divine dragon? My invincible combat technique actually saw the divine dragon? Invincible roared in disbelief, his eyes burning with passion. The celestial emperors of the sanctuary looked at the bodies of the 6 wind divine dragons in awe and veneration. When they looked at the Dragon King, they were filled with respect. The Dragon Palace had a divine dragon. If other people in the bedazzling starry sky were to know about this, the entire bedazzling starry sky would be in an uproar. The legendary divine dragon was in existence at the peak of the universe. Such an existence could stand at the peak of the universe as long as they were given enough resources and time. This wasn't the peak of the bedazzling starry sky, but the peak of the universe. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. They were already shocked after witnessing the terrifying strength of the Dragon King. However, the 6 wind divine dragons that the Dragon Palace displayed made them even more astonished. This was no longer a word to describe it as shocking. A dragon swimming in the shallows was nothing more than this. Dragon King, over here. Soon, the voice of a wind divine dragon was heard. Wang Xian looked over. With a move of his body, he appeared in the void instantly. Below, the Sacred Lord and the group were still standing there, staring blankly. Dragon Palace, Divine Dragon, Dragon King. Upper Water God Emperor murmured. Rumor has it that the rise of the Dragon Palace only took a few years, and they defeated the Imperial Court within a few years. Could the Dragon King have obtained the inheritance of the Divine Dragon? And Celestial Emperor of the Sanctuary said with his mouth agape. The inheritance of the Divine Dragon? Everyone's body trembled. The inheritance of the Divine Dragon was the pinnacle inheritance of the universe. Since the annihilation of the Divine Dragon race hundreds of millions of years ago, there was little information about the Divine Dragons. But there was no doubt that the inheritance of the Divine Dragon was heaven-defying. Let's go over. The Sacred Lord of the Sanctuary pursed his lips as he looked at Wang Xian with awe, disregarding everything else. Just the 6 wind divine dragons that the Dragon Palace displayed would make the Dragon Palace an existence that they would have to look up to in the future. Even if the 6 wind divine dragons weren't purebred divine dragons, they were still existences that they couldn't contend with. Divine Dragon, it's actually a divine dragon! Yelu Ying and the rest exclaimed in a daze. Ha ha ha, no wonder the Dragon King improved so quickly. When we first met, he was only a divine lord. Now he has become an emperor god in less than 10 years. My invincible battle techniques is going to shine. I'm going to shine. At the side, invincible battle techniques danced with excitement. With the divine dragons in the Dragon Palace. As long as he cozied up to the Dragon King in the future, his invincible battle techniques would allow him to roam the universe, and no one would dare to provoke him. Ha ha ha. At the thought of this, he couldn't help but laugh maniacally. However, at the side, the Sacred Lord of the Upper Water Divine Emperor and the other Emperor gods were taken aback. A few years ago, he was still a divine lord. Now he was an emperor god. This was simply going against the heavens. Wouldn't he reach an even higher level in a few years' time? They couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva as they observed a moment of silence for the 8 desolates of the Imperial Court. Get ready to die for offending the Dragon Palace that possessed the inheritance of the Divine Dragons. Wang. The dozen of them moved and flew towards the planet. This. At this moment, the Sacred Region soldiers guarding the teleportation formation widened their eyes. They exchanged looks and could feel the deep shock from it. Was the Dragon Palace that terrifying? At this moment, Wang Xian had already entered the ocean of the planet and started to build the Dragon Palace. The speed of building the Dragon Palace with the system was fast. However, in the eyes of the Sacred Lords and the rest, this was the power of the Divine Dragons. Alright, we can reach our main Dragon Palace directly from here. I wonder if any of you are interested in visiting the Imperial Star Domain. After the Dragon Palace was completed, Wang Xian invited them with a smile. In that case, we shall accept your invitation. Chapter 2878. This is the Dragon Palace? Sacred Leader and the rest entered the Dragon Palace. Looking at the majestic palace, their eyes sparkled. The Dragon Palace didn't shock them too much. After all, The current Dragon Palace was only a level 7 Dragon Palace. It could only withstand attacks from those below the Emperor God level. However, the majestic Dragon Palace, the mystical dragons circling around the pillars, and the huge dragon throne in the Dragon King Hall gave them the feeling that this was a pure mystical dragon. He had a feeling that this was where the dragon god lived. Prime Minister Turtle, get ready to receive the guests. Wang Xian instructed Prime Minister Turtle. It's Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle immediately answered and began to prepare. Prepare to attack the heavenly witchcraft domain in half a month. After entertaining the sacred lord and the rest, Wang Xian called Prime Minister Turtle over when the celestial emperors of the sanctuary flew out of the Dragon Palace to tour around the Dragon Island. Dragon King, will all the disciples of Dragon Palace participate in this expedition? Prime Minister Turtle pondered for a moment before asking. There's no need for that. Just lead the strongest disciples of the 100,000 Dragon Palace. All the Emperor gods will head out. Wang Xian shook his head as a cold gleam flashed in his eyes. Half a month later, the 3 Wind Divine Dragons will complete their breakthroughs. At that time, with our strength, we will be able to sweep through the Imperial Court, the Witch Association, and the Heavenly Witch region. Wang Xian was brimming with confidence. Yes, Dragon King. I'll go and prepare now. Prime Minister Turtle immediately nodded. In the next few days, the Sacred Region Sacred Leader and the others stayed on Dragon Island for 3 days before leaving. After they returned, the Sacred Leader directly announced that they would become friendly with the Dragon Palace of the Imperial Star region. As for the rest, he didn't announce too many things. After all, when they announced that they would become friendly with the Dragon Palace, it was a unilateral announcement. It was also the Sacred Lord and the others who had shamelessly announced this. The announcement of the Sacred Leader and the others caused the entire Sacred Region to be in an uproar again. Then from a planet at the edge of the Sacred Region came news that the Dragon Palace had a divine dragon, a real divine dragon. This caused many people to be extremely shocked. However, there was no evidence that the Dragon Palace had a divine dragon. Although there were countless people discussing it, not many people believed it. The strength of the Dragon Palace's Dragon King had spread throughout the sanctuary, killing 2 god emperors in an instant. Killing god emperors was like killing ants. There were all kinds of comments. Shangshui Divine Emperor, Hong Fengyan, and the rest did not leave the Dragon Island. Knowing that the Dragon Palace was going to conquer the Heavenly Wizard domain, Jean Fa Wudi excitedly prepared to follow along. Hong Fengyan was also prepared to follow the Dragon Palace. These few days, they wandered around Dragon Island under Invincible Battle's lead. Half a month passed by quickly. When roars sounded from the Dragon Palace, the entire Dragon Palace started moving. 100,000 of the strongest members of the Dragon Palace quickly flew towards the Dragon Field. The leaders of the Dragon Palace God Emperor level flew over immediately. At the forefront, 9 Wind Divine Dragons swayed their huge bodies and flew over. The 3 Wind Divine Dragons in the center were all 25,000 meters in length and emitted a powerful aura. These 3 Wind Divine Dragons had broken through yesterday, and they now possessed the strength of Second-Order God Emperor Realm. Boom boom boom. Behind the group of Wind Divine Dragons, the group of Dragon Palace leaders landed in front of the members of Dragon Palace. 13 God Emperors, 13 majestic figures. After killing 2 8 Desolation God Emperors and 1 Imperial Court God Emperor, the Dragon Palace had 3 more God Emperors, including Wang Xian and the 9 Wind Divine Dragons. The Dragon Palace had a total of 23 God Emperors. Among them, Heavenly Formation strength could not be compared to an ordinary First-Order God Emperor. Next was Xiaolan Xiaozhai. Including them, there were a total of 25 God Emperors. Wang Xian came to the front of the group of Dragon Palace members, and his gaze swept across them. All members of Dragon Palace, get ready! He shouted, and the unbeginning saint wings appeared behind his back. His body exuded a powerful dragon might. Yes, Dragon King. The 100,000 members of Dragon Palace roared. Among these 100,000 members, the weakest had the strength of a 6th-order immortal god king. They were the most elite group of people in Dragon Palace. Let's go to Heavenly Witch Domain. Wang Xian waved his arm and shouted, Let's go to Heavenly Witch Domain. The group of Dragon Palace members roared. The 3 Wind Divine Dragons in the lead roared and flew forward, while the other 6 Wind Divine Dragons followed on their sides. Boom! Their wings trembled slightly, and a dragon sedan formed behind them. The dragon sedan was huge, with a radius of 10 kilometers. In front of the dragon sedan, there was a dragon throne. Let's go! Roving Sword and Prime Minister Turtle moved to the left and right of the dragon throne. One represented the dragon guards, while the other represented the important ministers of the dragon palace. Wang Xian moved and came to the dragon throne. His voice sounded. The 9 Wind Divine Dragons roared, pulled the dragon throne, and flew out of the dragon palace. Splash! The Wind Divine Dragons emerged from the sea, and the group of Dragon Palace members followed behind. Woo woo woo! Just as they were about to catch up, they heard muffled sounds coming from both sides. The humongous Xiaolan and the small mansion flew out from the sea. Get on the battle, Kuan. Prime Minister Turtle ordered the group of Dragon Palace members. Yes. Swish swish swish. 60,000 Dragon Palace members flew towards Xiaolan, while 40,000 Dragon Palace members flew towards the small mansion. Given the size of Xiaolan and the small mansion, not to mention 100,000 troops, they could even carry 1 million or 10 million troops. Oh my gosh! At the side of the Dragon Palace, Invincible Water Emperor Hong Fengyan and his disciples were speechless when they saw the scene. The 9 Wind Divine Dragons stood at the forefront, pulling a dragon sedan chair. Behind them were 2 humongous beasts that carried 100,000 members of the Dragon Palace. There weren't many people from the Dragon Palace this time around, but all of them were experts. Every one of them was a core existence in any force. It was especially so for those emperor gods who were emitting terrifying auras. They could sense that there were a total of 25 of them. That was 25 emperor gods. Before Hong Fengyan made her breakthrough, there were only 5 emperor gods in the entire sanctuary. The emperor gods of colored glaze are just SOSO, Shangshui Emperor murmured. Master, I want to go too. I want to stand on that huge beast and sweep across a region. I want to go with the divine dragons to destroy the Imperial Court and the Sorcerer Association. Invincible said to his master excitedly. If the Dragon King is willing to bring you along, you can go. Shangshui Emperor took a look at his disciple and said, Ha ha, great. Boss Wang, hold on. Bring me along. Invincible Fighter opened his mouth wide and flew over excitedly. Hee little brat, come over here. Wang Xian took a glance and smiled faintly. Chapter 2879. It won't be long before the entire resplendent starry sky is going to shake because of this. Hong Fengyan murmured, as she looked at the Dragon Palace's expedition team. Yeah, it's the Divine Dragon's inheritance. The Imperial Court, Witch Assembly and 8 Desolation are in for it. Shangshui God Emperor lamented. Hong Fengyan wanted to join the expedition, but Wang Xian didn't agree. Given the current strength of the Dragon Palace, there was no need for outsiders to participate. Wang Xian had complete information on the expedition to the Heavenly Witch Domain. The Dragon King and the rest are simply too powerful. Master, do you think the strongest force in the resplendent starry sky, the Azure Continent, is a match for the Dragon Palace? Yeluing asked her master curiously. Even if the Dragon Palace isn't a match for them now, they can easily surpass the Azure Continent in the future. Shangshui God Emperor answered. They had stayed on the Dragon Island for half a month. During this time, they had a deeper understanding of the Dragon Palace. From the AI, they could also know when the Dragon Palace had risen. In less than 10 years. It was terrifying. Given his understanding of the Azure Continent, it wouldn't take more than 10 years to surpass the Azure Continent. What's that? Where is the Dragon King bringing the 2 giant beasts to? Did something happen? Where are they going? The Dragon Island was bustling with activity once again. 9 divine dragons were pulling the dragon palanquin, while Xiaolan's mansion was carrying 100,000 experts of the Dragon Palace. As they flew into the distance, they attracted the attention of many people on the Dragon Island. They looked at the enormous Xiaolan's residence with astonished expressions. The ordinary citizens of the Imperial Star Domain didn't know what was happening in the Eight Desolation, or the Holy Region. On Dragon Island, some scouts from the Imperial Court and Shaman Guild frowned slightly when they saw this, and immediately sent the news over. Woo woo woo. At this moment, the roars of the Kuan and Wind Divine Dragon rang out. In the next moment they disappeared rapidly. Given the speed of Xiaolan and the Wind Divine Dragon, those below the 5th Order God King realm wouldn't be able to see them clearly. Even though they were massive, they couldn't be seen when they flew at high speed. It was too fast. Dragon King, it will take 2 days to reach the Heavenly Sorcerer Domain, and half a month to reach the Mount Wu of the Sorcerer Domain. In front of the Dragon Sedan, Prime Minister Turtle reported to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. When we arrive at the Heavenly Witchcraft Domain, the Witchcraft Association will definitely receive the news in advance. However, the Sorcerer Union and the Imperial Court don't know the exact strength of our Dragon Palace. They definitely won't escape directly. After all, as sorcerers and powerful array masters, they're best at defensive battles. Prime Minister Turtle continued. How's the preparation for the Heavenly Formation? Wang Xian asked. Dragon King, the Heavenly Array has been waiting for this day for a very long time. Even if we don't say anything, he would already be fully confident. However, the Heavenly Array can't trap the Overlord and the sorcerers. Prime Minister Turtle said. However, Orochi also said that the wizards are very strong. Once you get close to them with your terrifying speed, they will be easier to kill than the Overlord. Prime Minister Turtle added. It would be best if we could kill both of them. Wang Xian murmured. It's fine if we kill one or injure the others. When the time comes, with the power of the Heavenly Array, they won't be able to escape through the array. Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile. That's true, but it's a little troublesome. Wang Xian smiled as he stared at the void in front of him with sparkling eyes. This was the battle where the Dragon Palace shocked the entire starry sky. It was also the battle where the Divine Dragon roared in the starry sky. After this battle, the dragon roared in the wild. The Heavenly Array geezer is going home. Orochi, who was on Xiaolan, looked at the Heavenly Array at the side and chuckled. Yeah, it's time to go home. The Heavenly Array wasn't bothered by Orochi's teasing tone, as he looked ahead with a slight sigh. It's time to go home. The Imperial Star Domain was his home. After thousands of years of falling, he had finally returned. This time, he would be able to kill his enemies with his own hands. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. Finally, I'm going home. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, he let out a hearty laugh. Hakone Demon Fiend, and the others smiled as well. Only Invincible Jean sneaked a peek at the Heavenly Array. The 9 Wind Divine Dragons traveled at high speed with Xiaolan following closely behind. They were shuttling through the starry sky at high speed. The planets in the Imperial Star Domain didn't sense them passing by at such a terrifying speed. 2 days passed quickly, and there were only a few planets with life left in the vicinity. The Heavenly Witch Domain was just ahead. The Heavenly Witch Domain was once a relatively famous domain in the starry sky. The Heavenly Witch Domain's shamans were the most feared existences in the entire starry sky. In the past, the Heavenly Witch Domain had 2 second-order God Emperors, but the 2 of them could at least fight against 4 to 5 existences of the same level. Therefore, the Heavenly Witch Domain used to be exceptionally powerful in the starry sky. Its overall strength ranked 3rd. The Heavenly Witch Domain was larger than the Imperial Star Domain. The entire Star Domain had a dark hue. Compared to the Sacred Region, this place was much darker. 90% of the people in the Heavenly Witch Domain were array masters who wanted to become a shaman. However, the array masters in the Heavenly Witch Domain had more branches. Some, in order to increase their strength, would transfer the bodies of demonic beasts or desolate beasts to their own bodies. In order to increase their strength, they would hunt countless humans to conduct experiments and refine powerful weapons. This was a world where the strong preyed on the weak, and the Shaman Association was the ruler of this world. The Heavenly Witch Domain's flying vehicles were made from the bodies of desolate beasts and demonic beasts. There were also some flying vehicles arranged with arrays. It lacked the feeling of science fiction, and was full of magic. The Shaman Association was the ruler of the Heavenly Witch domain, but they did not directly govern all the planets. In the Heavenly Witch domain, there were other forces of various sizes. Woo woo woo. Roar roar roar. In the starry sky of the Heavenly Witch domain, a deep roar filled with heart-palpitating power resounded, and a powerful pressure filled the surroundings. Several roars announced the arrival of the Dragon Palace. The dragon descends into the Heavenly Witch domain. What a terrifying roar. What a giant beast. Hiss, it's so fast. Those 9 creatures, no 11 terrifying creatures, what are they? Giant space beasts. The roars attracted the attention of some nearby life planets. One by one, figures flew into the starry sky. When they saw the giant creatures flying past, their pupils shrank, and their faces were filled with fear. Chapter 2880. That's a divine dragon, avoid beast? What a terrifying aura. It's at least at the God Emperor level. Hey, look at that beast, there are humans on it. Look at what those 9 terrifying creatures are pulling behind them. What is that? God carriage? Why do I think those 9 creatures look like divine dragons? Are they really divine dragons? The group from Dragon Palace flew quickly in Heavenly Witch region. As they got closer to the center of Heavenly Witch region, there were more life planets and more experts. More and more people saw the 9 wind divine dragons, pulling the dragon carriage. 2 giant beasts carried the experts from Dragon Palace. Especially the 9 wind divine dragons and Xiaolan's terrifying aura. The God Emperor's aura caused the experts from Heavenly Witch region, who were closer to them, to turn pale. The irresistible aura made them feel fear. As time passed, there was more and more news about the giant beasts flying on the communication network of Heavenly Witch region. They are flying towards the center of Heavenly Witch region. After 6 or 7 days, many powerhouses on the Sky Witch domain's communication network were shocked to discover that a dozen huge behemoths were flying towards the center of the Sky Witch domain. The center of Heavenly Witch region was where the Shaman Association was. Another 2 days passed, and some people took pictures of the scene. In the picture, 9 creatures with huge wings were pulling a dragon carriage. On the left and right sides, there were 2 giant beasts, and on those beasts there were figures. The picture was slightly blurry, but even so, it caused a huge stir in Heavenly Witch region. Especially some experts from Shaman Association and Imperial Court. They immediately recognized those were the 2 giant beasts from Dragon Palace. Dragon King might be coming. When this news came out, it caused a huge stir. 5 years ago, Shaman Association headed to Imperial Star region to kill and revive Sky Array God Emperor. But what the entire Heavenly Witch region did not expect was that Shaman Association would return in defeat. Countless people from the Imperial dynasty returned together with him. Later, they learned that Shaman Association allied with Imperial Court, but still lost to Dragon Palace. Now in a short 5 years, Dragon Palace actually came over. This caused the entire Heavenly Witch region to boil. The Dragon Palace attacked us directly. Aren't they too arrogant? How dare they enter the depths of our Heavenly Witch region? Courting death. Does the Dragon Palace really think that they can destroy our Wizard Association? As long as they dare to come over, we will definitely make them pay a heavy price. Our Witch Association has been established in the Heavenly Witch region for nearly 1 billion years. No faction has ever dared to attack us. A few 100 million years ago, our Witch Association experts killed the colored glaze God Emperor, but they didn't dare to attack us. On the communication network of the Heavenly Witchcraft domain, countless people were discussing. The members of the Wizard Association, in particular, were filled with anger and disdain for the Dragon Palace's attack. Everyone in the entire bedazzling starry sky knew that Array Masters possessed the strength to fight against those of a higher level. Moreover, they were best at defense. If a Formation Master took the initiative to attack, he might be able to fight 1 against 2. However, if he was given enough time, and they were fully prepared, he would be able to take on 4 of them at once. This was the strength of an Array Master. It was even more so for them to become the powerhouses of the Wizard Association. Now that they knew that the Dragon Palace might have invaded, countless members of the Wizard Association were filled with disdain and scolded the Dragon Palace for being too arrogant. Of course, There were also people who said that the Dragon Palace only attacked because they were confident. After all, the Sky Array God Emperor had joined the Dragon Palace. Sky Array understood the Wizard Association better, so it was impossible for them to attack blindly. They must be confident. However, there were not many people who said that. Pung. Damn it, the Dragon Palace actually invaded. Their strength must have increased again. Otherwise, why would they dare to attack? At this very moment, at the center of the Heavenly Witch region, at the Witch Mountain, within the highest mountain peak, the Son of Heaven of the Wizard Association slammed the table heavily, with an ugly expression. His expression kept changing. The Dragon Palace actually attacked. His teacher actually attacked. Emperor Lord, have you contacted God Emperor Shun Wu of the Imperial Court? At the frontmost position, the sorcerer glanced at the Son of Heaven, then looked at the Emperor Lord and asked. Not yet. According to the time, he and 8 Desolation God Emperor should need more than a month to reach here. I don't know if they are in a hurry or for some other reason, but they haven't replied. The Emperor Lord frowned slightly and shook his head. They didn't receive any news about what happened in the sanctuary. The distance was too far. As they had to come with 8 Desolation God Emperor, they couldn't return to their own holy kingdom directly. Hence, it would take a few months to reach the Heavenly Witch region by flying. Based on the time, they wouldn't be able to make it here, even if they were to travel at their fastest speed. I think the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace should already know that 8 Desolation is going to join forces with us. Hence, he attacked and is prepared to take a gamble. The Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court guessed with flickering eyes. I agree with this. No matter how fast they improve, it's impossible to double their strength. 8 Desolation and our alliance should be under great pressure, so they are prepared to take a gamble. An Emperor God from the Witchcraft Association nodded in agreement. Tianjun, he isn't a fool. I know him better than all of you. If he isn't confident, why would he ask the Dragon King to attack us? The Son of Heaven looked at them and said with a gloomy face. He didn't agree with the Emperor Lord. He knew his teacher very well. His teacher knew the power of the Wizard Association. If he wasn't confident, would the Dragon Palace attack? The strength of the Dragon Palace is already stronger than before, the sorcerer said with a bitter face. He waved his arm, and a picture of 9 wind divine dragons appeared. Compared to the picture on the communication network of the Heavenly Witch region, this picture was clearer. What creature is this? Why does it look like a divine dragon? It looks like the legendary divine dragon. Could it be a divine dragon? In an instant, the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court and the other Emperor gods stood up and shouted. It should be a creature with the bloodline of the divine dragon. These 9 creatures are at the level of an Emperor God. In the battle 5 years ago, the Dragon Palace didn't have these 9 Emperor God creatures. The sorcerer said with a solemn face. 9 Emperor Gods. Hearing his words, the Sovereign Lord and the others' expressions slowly turned ugly. 5 years ago, the Dragon Palace had more than a dozen Emperor Gods. Now there were 9 more. In just 5 years. This kind of improvement was too terrifying. This kind of enemy was too terrifying. Emperor Lord, what should we do now? Hide. Meet up with 8 Desolation? The Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court looked gloomy as he clenched his fists. The Dragon Palace must be afraid that we will join forces with 8 Desolation at this time. That also means that the strength of the Dragon Palace is not as strong as after we join forces with 8 Desolation. The sorcerer's eyes flickered. The Wizard Association has been in the Heavenly Witch region for 1 billion years. In terms of defense, they are not afraid of any invasion. Chapter 2881. Sorcerer, are you confident? On Wu Mountain, the Emperor looked at the sorcerer in front of him and asked. The Sorcerer Association has been around for 1 billion years. The entire Wu Mountain has been built by over 20 generations of sorcerers, and strengthened by close to 100 Emperor Gods. The entire defense of Wu Mountain is extremely strong. Although the Heavenly Formation knows the Sorcerer Association well, he doesn't know how strong we are after all the formations are activated. Forget about the Heavenly Formation at its peak. Even if there were 2 or 3 Heavenly Formations at its peak, they wouldn't be able to break the defense of the Sorcerer Association. The sorcerer stood there proudly and said confidently, "Ha!" Looking at the sorcerer's confidence, the emperor of the imperial court and the other emperor gods were relieved. "That's great. I believe in the experts of the Sorcerer Association when it comes to defense." The emperor heaved a sigh of relief and said. Even the emperor, who was seated at the side, relaxed. He heaved a sigh of relief and closed his eyes. The resurrection of his master had indeed put him under immense pressure. He had only joined the Sorcerer Association for a mere 10 million years. He didn't know much about the secrets of the Sorcerer Association. As long as they could fend off the invasion of Dragon Palace, everything would be fine. Since Dragon Palace dares to attack, the Sorcerer Association will make them pay the price. Gather all the experts, set up the formation and await their arrival. The sorcerer looked at the emperor gods of the Sorcerer Association and gave the order coldly. "Yes, Sir Sorcerer." The group of god emperors immediately nodded their heads as a sinister expression appeared on their faces. Very soon, the entire Sorcerer Association and the entire Wu Mountain started moving. Countless experts set up formations around Wu Mountain. Even an emperor god of the Sorcerer Association set up a formation personally. The sorcerers entered the Wu Mountains one by one and activated the long-sealed arrays. The Sorcerer Association had spent 1 billion years building the entire Wu Mountain. Many emperor gods had left their powerful formations there. When the formation was activated, they believed that Wu Mountain would be indestructible. "We have confirmed that Dragon Palace is about to attack. Those monsters are experts from Dragon Palace. All the experts of the Sorcerer Association are setting up the formation. Those monsters are at the Emperor God level. The strength of Dragon Palace is really terrifying. The Witch Association's greatest strength lies in its array formations and defensive battles. Coupled with Wu Mountain, the territory that the Witch Association has built for nearly 1 billion years, it's wishful thinking for the Dragon Palace to attack. With the defense of Wu Mountain, even if they had twice the power of the Witches Association, it would still be difficult to break through. Furthermore, there are experts from the Imperial Court there. Back then, Cheng Wu Hui led the experts to attack the Dragon Palace. I didn't expect the Dragon Palace to invade in just 5 years. On the communication network of the Heavenly Witchcraft Territory, when everyone saw the experts and disciples of the Witch Association being summoned back, they received a message from the experts of the Witch Association. The news of the Dragon Palace's invasion was confirmed. However, the people of the Heavenly Witchcraft region, as well as the experts and disciples of the Witchcraft Association, were full of confidence in this defensive battle. The strongest aspect of an array formation was its defense. Coupled with the Witch Guild's billion-year heritage, they had enough information to defend against the Dragon Palace's attack. Time passed day by day. At Wu Mountain, countless experts of the Witchcraft Association had gathered. Powerful formations were set up one after another. They stood on Wu Mountain and waited quietly. As the army of the Dragon Palace got closer, the number of vital planets in the central region increased. On the communication network of the Heavenly Witchcraft Territory, more and more information about the army of the Dragon Palace was released. It could be said that the route of the Dragon Palace was under the control of the entire Heavenly Witchcraft Territory. Dragon King, we're almost there. In the Dragon Sedan, Wang Xian leaned back and sipped on tea while reading up on the information and developments of the Heavenly Witchcraft Territory. Prime Minister Turtle walked in and reported to Wang Xian. "Almost there?" He put down the book beside him and stood up slowly. "We'll reach Wu Mountain in about an hour. The Witch Association should have known of our arrival and are already waiting for us," Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile. "Then let's see how strong a force that has been in this star region for 1 billion years is." Wang Xian walked out of the Dragon Sedan slowly and came to the Dragon Throne in front. He sat on it and looked around. The center of the Heavenly Witchcraft Territory was unusually prosperous with many vital planets around it. At this time, many experts were floating in the sky above these vital planets and looking in their direction. Hee. Wang Xian smiled faintly and looked ahead. An hour passed quickly. At the same time, at the entrance of Wu Mountain, hundreds of millions of people stood on Wu Mountain. Many experts arranged themselves in a formation, holding powerful weapons in their hands. 9 figures stood in the center at the front. Sorcerer, Emperor Lord, 1 Emperor God from the Imperial Court, and 6 other Emperor Gods from the Witch Association. The Emperor God on the far left looked a little weak. At this moment, his eyes were filled with hatred as he stared at the void in front of him. His enemy was coming. In the battle millions of years ago, his body was severely damaged by the sky array, resulting in an incurable injury. His current strength was the weakest among the Emperor Gods. He didn't go to the Imperial Star region the previous time. They're coming. In the center, the Emperor of the Imperial Court gripped his scepter tightly. Pale radiant energy emanated from his body as he stared ahead with reddened eyes. Blurry figures appeared one by one. It was the group of people in front that had turned the Imperial Court into stray dogs. Now, the other party was chasing after them and wanted to annihilate them. Ka ka ka. The Emperor Lord's fist made cracking sounds as he exerted force. The other Emperor God beside him was also filled with murderous intent and anger. However, they didn't know that the other Emperor God from the Imperial Court had already been killed by Wang Xian. Hoot hoot hoot. At this moment, a deafening roar was heard. The dragon might of the divine dragon. The savage might of Zhang Kuan. The terrifying roar and aura surged towards them. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. On Wu Mountain, all the disciples of the Witch Association and some experts from the Imperial Court raised their weapons and were filled with murderous intent. Murderous intent filled the air. Those 9 creatures. The eyes of the Imperial Court overlord sorcerers locked onto the 9 wind divine dragons, their eyes filled with solemn expressions. These 9 creatures were very similar to the divine dragons they had seen in the history books. In fact, they were almost identical. Looking at the 9 creatures face to face, they felt a strong sense of danger. On Wu Mountain, the other experts and disciples of the Witch Association had the same feeling. Are those true dragons? Stop. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and looked at the countless people of the Witch Association and the Imperial Court as he spoke plainly. Hoot hoot hoot. The divine dragons roared and Zhang Kuan growled as they stopped in their tracks. They faced the people of Wu Mountain from afar. Chapter 2882. Dragon's Wrath. 3 5 years ago, you attacked our dragon palace. 5 years later, our dragon palace is here. Don't you feel that time flies? In the void in front of Wu Mountain, the Dragon Palace and the Chengwu Association Imperial Court faced each other from a distance. Wang Xian looked at the group of sorcerer overlords and stood up from the dragon throne with a faint smile on his face. If it weren't for the current situation, his words would sound like a greeting to an old friend that he hadn't seen for a long time. Dragon King, don't be so arrogant. It won't be long before the end of the Dragon Palace. When the Emperor of the Imperial Court heard Wang Xian's words, he couldn't maintain his composure at all as he bellowed furiously. Ha ha ha, a stray dog still dares to bark. Wang Xian laughed out loud and shouted with a mocking face. His words caused the expressions of everyone in the Imperial dynasty to turn really ugly. Dragon King, I don't know who gave you the confidence to attack the Heavenly Witchcraft Domain and our Witchcraft Association. Is it that old thing Sky Formation? The sorcerer stared at Wang Xian coldly and questioned him. Haha, wizard, as long as I'm alive, your wizard association will always be on tenterhooks. Now that I'm here, you should welcome me warmly. After all, it's about to end, and you can't always worry about me killing my way here. On Little Blue's body, Sky Matrix laughed and stared at the wizard with murderous eyes. Worried? Our witch association was able to kill you once in the past, and we can still kill you now. Dragon King, our witch association has been in the Heavenly Witch Domain for 1 billion years. Do you think you can destroy us with your strength? Today, I will make you pay a terrible price. Today, I'll let an arrogant fellow like you witness the power of our wizard association. The sorcerer's aura surged forward, his face filled with rage. Alright. Today, I want to see the power of the Wizard Association. I want to see the power of an organization that has stood strong for 1 billion years. I hope you won't disappoint our Dragon Palace. Wang Xian's eyes were sharp as he lifted his head slightly and spoke loudly. Every great battle will be recorded in the history books, and every battle will have a name. Why don't I name it first? Let's call it the Battle of Dragon Punishment. He continued to speak indifferently. The Battle of Dragon Punishment. This was also the first real battle of a purebred divine dragon stepping into the resplendent starry sky. Battle of Dragon Punishment? Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the sorcerer overlord and the rest revealed an embarrassed look. Arrogant! Arrogant! The two of them roared and stared coldly at Wang Xian. Ha ha ha, members of Dragon Palace, get ready! Wang Xian laughed out loud and waved his arm. Boom boom boom. All the members of the Dragon Palace immediately flew down from Xiaolan's body. A group of Emperor God-level experts from Dragon Palace floated around the 9 wind divine dragons. Waves of vast and terrifying aura surged forward. Are these all the Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace? SSS, including the 9 living beings, there are more than 20 Emperor Gods in the Dragon Palace. When all the Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace appeared, all the experts and disciples of the Witchcraft Association and the Imperial Court on Wu Mountain in front of them were shocked. There were more than 20 Emperor Gods. Even though they did not unleash their full power, their terrifying aura still made them feel extremely pressured. Even the Sorcerer Overlord and the rest were shocked. More than 20 Emperor Gods. There were more than 20 Emperor Gods in the Dragon Palace. In just 5 years, the number of Emperor Gods in the Dragon Palace had almost doubled. SSS, look, those are all Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace. How can there be so many of them? More than 20 Emperor Gods. Can the Witchcraft Association hold them off? More than 20. This Dragon Palace is so strong. No wonder they dared to attack us directly. This force is too terrifying. At this time, some experts from the heavenly witchcraft domain were lurking in the surrounding void a distance away. This vast battle had a great impact on the heavenly witchcraft domain. Experts from other forces in the heavenly witchcraft domain naturally came over to investigate. Seeing the Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace, they were terrified. Mount Wu Misty Rain Array, activate. Heavenly Secret Killing Array, activate. Sorcerer Shadow Array, activate. Lianshan Vast Earth Array, activate. Sorcerer World Array, activate. The sorcerer swept his gaze across the Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace and roared with a cold expression. Buzz buzz buzz. Buzz buzz buzz. Buzz buzz buzz. When the sorcerer recited the name of a large array, the entire Wu Mountain shook. The vast array instantly enveloped a radius of 100 billion kilometers, including the entire Wu Mountain. A wave of mighty energy surged into the void. 7 great formations slowly rose up. That extremely frightening energy frantically surged out in all directions. Clouds and mist shrouded the Wu Mountain. A majestic shadow, wearing a bamboo hat, floated in the middle of the Wu Mountain. Wu Mountain was connected, and murderous intent was everywhere. The entire Wu Mountain had become a sorcerer world. The 7 large arrays formed an incomparably powerful defense. Wang Xian stood on the dragon throne and watched the terrifying arrays rise. His eyes were beaming with astonishment. Our witchcraft array has not risen for hundreds of millions of years. Dragon King, I'd like to see how you can break our defense. If you can't annihilate us today, the Witchcraft Association will annihilate you next. The sorcerer stared at Wang Xian and roared sternly. Chapter 2883. Dragon Punishment 4. Boom. Boom boom. Windstorm, a terrifying windstorm. In front of Wu Mountain, there were 7 great arrays. The 7 wind divine dragons that were the first to fly over let out a roar when they saw Witch Shadow attacking them. Their wings flapped rapidly. In an instant, the entire sky seemed to have undergone a terrifying change. At its peak, sky formation might not be as strong as 1 Second Order God Emperor Realm Wind Divine Dragon. But 3 Second Order God Emperor Realm Wind Divine Dragons could instantly destroy sky formation. The 2 sky formations at their peak were comparable to the 3 Second Order God Emperor Realm Wind Divine Dragons from the Dragon Palace. Shaman and the others predicted that Wu Mountain's defense could withstand at least 3 sky formations at his peak. Of course, there was a prerequisite. He, the Lord, and the other God Emperors had to attack together. Hence, when the 9 wind divine dragons attacked, the world in front of Wu Mountain changed. Boom boom boom. The wind elemental laws rumbled and instantly enveloped the entrance of Wu Mountain. A terrifying hurricane attacked the witch shadow. Bam, bam, bam. The witch shadow formed by the array met the hurricane head-on, without any intelligence. A violent collision sound rang out, and the incomparably huge witch shadow slowly collapsed. That terrifying hurricane, as if it was going to destroy the world, continued to charge forward. Just the attack of the 9 wind divine dragons was enough to stop the shaman, the lord, and all the experts and disciples of the two forces. They looked at the incoming hurricane in horror, their hearts beating violently. Too fast. The wind divine dragon's attack was too fast. In just the first round of collisions, the witch shadow collapsed. Moreover, the terrifying hurricane continued to attack them. Those 9 creatures roared just now. Are they wind divine dragons? Wind divine dragons. Sky Formation's eyes widened as he looked at the attack in front of him in shock. All members of the Witchcraft Association, attack, attack. Strengthen the array, strengthen the array. The wizard looked at the scene in front of him and heard the voice of the Son of Heaven. His heart beat violently and he shouted, "Purgatory world, block it!" He roared. The array diagram floating above him attacked the hurricane in front of him. Kill, kill, kill. On the surrounding Wu Mountain, all the experts and disciples came to their senses and immediately shouted. Beams of energy shrouded the area ahead. Billions of people launched their own attacks. And it was like a natural disaster that covered everything in front of them. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of an explosion rang out, and the violent sound covered everything. The hurricane was stopped and was stuck in the void. Half of the world was windy, and the other half was chaotic. Slowly the world of wind was destroyed. All the attacks of the imperial court weren't something that the 9 wind god dragons could block. Even so, the fact that the 9 divine wind dragons were able to force them to this point was already very terrifying. He bear the wrath of the dragon god. Yamada no Orochi let out a roar. He moved and charged forward. At the forefront, the other dozen emperor gods of Dragon Palace also dashed over. Their bodies carried a terrifying aura. Woo woo woo. Woo woo woo. Xiao Lan and the rest raised their heads and let out a deep roar. They charged towards the rising array. Block it with all your might. Activate all the arrays. The shaman's face turned ugly when he saw all the attacks from the Dragon Palace. Oh no, Lord Shaman, the 3 divine dragon-like creatures in the center are all second-order God Emperor realm experts. The moment the shaman's words fell, one of the emperor gods of Dragon Palace shouted with an ugly expression on his face. The Dragon Palace has 4 second-order God Emperor realm experts. The Emperor Lord beside him clenched his fists and shouted. They could clearly feel the attack from the 9 divine wind dragons. It was very powerful. Now that the other dozen Emperor gods of Dragon Palace were charging over, how were they going to block it? It's not that we can't block it. Activate all the arrays, and we can block at least 4 to 5 second-order God Emperor realm experts. The shaman gritted his teeth and shouted, "Kill." As soon as he finished speaking, he moved and flew up into the sky, setting up several formations around him. The strength of the Dragon Palace had completely exceeded their expectations, especially the number of second-order God Emperor realm experts. 4 to 5 second-order God Emperor realm experts? Even if the Dragon King is a second-order God Emperor realm expert, he should be able to block it. The Emperor Lord's eyes lit up when he heard the shaman's words. In a flash, he flew up into the sky and launched a barrage of attacks. Heaven Fate Killing Array, attack. One of the Emperor gods of Dragon Palace controlled the array with a solemn expression, blocking the attacks from the Dragon Palace's Emperor realm experts. Every single one of the 7 great formations possessed immense power. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the arrays here could kill a first-order god emperor. However, the Dragon Palace had too many emperor gods. The great sorcerer shadow array was destroyed in an instant. So. Countless wind blades covered the front and attacked the emperor gods of Dragon Palace. However, to roving heavens and the other emperor gods, the formation posed no threat at all. They're fighting. The strength of the Dragon Palace seems to be beyond our expectations. Those 9 creatures call themselves divine wind dragons. Are they real divine dragons? Those 9 divine dragons are so powerful. Hiss, They broke through the Witch Union's array in an instant. The war has broken out. The strength displayed by the Dragon Palace is terrifying. Can the Witch Union defend against them? Some experts of the heavenly witchcraft domain, hidden in the surrounding void, shivered slightly when they saw the war erupt completely and felt the waves of mighty energy. If they were to enter such a war, there wouldn't be anything left of them. Woo woo woo. Mountain Link Vast Earth Formation, stop that giant beast. At this time, Xiaolan arrived in front of the Witch Union. The Witch Master looked at Xiaolan and ordered with a gloomy expression. He had fought with Xiaolan before, and he couldn't do anything to it. Looking at Xiaolan, his expression kept changing. He was confident that the Witch Union could defend against 4 to 5 Second Order God Emperor Realm experts. However, this was only against ordinary Second Order God Emperor Realm experts. This beast was terrifying and could probably crush anyone in the same realm. Mountain Link Vast Earth Array, Mountain Earth Soul defend. Below, the experts of the Witch Union heard the Witch Master's order and activated the Mountain Link Vast Earth Array. Mountains condensed from laws appeared out of thin air and bombarded Little Blue. Woo woo. When Xiaolan saw the mountains coming towards it, its body emitted a grayish energy as it collided with the mountains. Chapter 2884. Dragon Punishment 5-inch Boom. Little Blue's enormous body, which was more than 100 kilometers long, slammed heavily into the Mountain Link Vast Earth Formation, causing the entire space to tremble. Ka. Very soon, cracks started to appear on the powerful formation protecting Wu Mountain. Buzz! Woo woo! Little Blue's body trembled slightly, and it let out a low roar. The defensive mountain peaks formed from the earth element quickly crumbled and turned into dust. Not good. The vast earth formation has been broken. The experts of the Witchcraft Association were horrified as they shouted in shock. The shaman turned around, and his heart sank when he saw this. The Emperor Lord's expression changed, and he had a bad feeling about this. You must be careful. With a thought, he reminded another God Emperor from the Imperial Court. That God Emperor was taken aback, and he gritted his teeth. He knew what the Emperor Lord meant. His gaze swept across Fang Imperial Court's disciples, and he clenched his fists tightly as he stared at the members of the Dragon Palace. At this moment, a series of terrifying roars rang out. The 9 wind divine dragons in the center flapped their enormous wings, and countless miniature wind divine dragons appeared around them. Each of the miniature divine wind dragons seemed to have come to life. They let out a dragon roar and charged forward to attack. This attack! The shaman controlling the formation in the center felt his heart tighten when he saw the 9 wind divine dragons attacking again. Witchcraft World Formation, Mount Wu's Misty Rain Formation defend. The shaman waved his arm, and the 2 formations rose into the air, flying towards the countless wind attribute divine dragons. The Witchcraft World and Mount Wu's Misty Rain Formation were the 2 strongest formations of the Witchcraft Union. The 2 great formations have been built, modified, and strengthened for 1 billion years. Now the 2 great formations could cover the entire Wu Mountain. Moreover, when the 2 formations were activated, a second-order God Emperor Realm expert attacked them, but they didn't budge. Even if there were 2 or 3 second-order God Emperor Realm experts, they could forget about breaking this array formation. Boom boom boom. Pa pa pa. However, when the attacks of the countless wind attribute divine dragons landed on the 2 formations, a scene that struck fear into the hearts of everyone in the Witch Clan appeared. The small wind divine dragons formed by the wind attribute attacked the 2 formations, causing cracks to appear on them. Especially when the wizard saw this scene, his heart sank. Huang Xiaolong was confident that he could withstand the attacks of 4 to 5 second-order God Emperor Realm experts because of these 2 formations. These 2 were the legacy spell formations of the Magus Guild. But now, their inheritance formation was slowly cracking apart. This caused him to have a bad premonition. Since the start of the battle, the Witchcraft Guild and the others had been using the formation to defend themselves. They had not clashed directly. However, the formations were broken one by one, and they were broken so easily. Then, Sorcerer, the formation is about to break. The formation is about to break. At this moment Tianzi, who was standing at the side, shouted at the sorcerer with a pale face. Spell formations were their strongest trump card. As powerful spell formation masters and shamans who relied on spell formation masters as their foundation, once the spell formation was broken, they would lose all other means. If even the spell formations couldn't withstand it, the ending that awaited them was imaginable. Shut up, I know. The sorcerer roared in frustration. He knew the consequences of the spell formations being broken. Another roar came from the center of the formation. The 9 wind divine dragons flapped their incomparably huge dragon wings and charged towards the shaman world and Mount Wu's misty rain formation. Bam, bam, bam. With their terrifying speed, they charged directly in front of the 2 spell formations. Violent collisions resounded. Crash. It was as if the mirror protecting Mount Wu had shattered. In the next moment, terrifying dragon roars resounded. Waves of majestic dragon might appeared in front of all the experts and disciples of the Witchcraft Guild and Imperial Court. The spell formations were broken. In less than 2 minutes. They're broken. The 5 spell formations of the Witchcraft Guild are all broken. SSS so fast. That's the Witchcraft Guild of our heavenly witchcraft territory. They've been the overlord for 1 billion years and have a terrifying heritage. Yet they're broken so quickly. Those 9 wind divine dragons are so terrifying. Only real divine dragons can be so terrifying, right? The Dragon Palace is too powerful, especially those 9 divine dragons. They're exactly the same as the wind divine dragons in the records. They're definitely real divine dragons. The experts of the heavenly witchcraft territory, who were hiding in the surrounding void and watching the battle, were dumbfounded. Their spell formations, the overlord of the heavenly witchcraft territory, and the Witchcraft Guild that was best at defense, were quickly broken. In less than 2 minutes, the spell formations that protected the entire Mount Wu had collapsed. If the Witchcraft Guild doesn't have a trump card, they're finished. Everyone thought to themselves, oh no, they're attacking. Guardian, they're attacking. Lord Sorcerer. When the 9 wind divine dragons entered the territory of Mount Wu, the experts and disciples of the Witchcraft Guild standing on Mount Wu had a drastic change of expression as they roared in horror. Facing the 9 terrifying wind divine dragons, they felt that they weren't on the same level as them at all. If the 9 wind divine dragons moved even a little, they would die. There was a huge difference in their lives. Oh no! The sorcerer's expression changed drastically. The defense of the Witchcraft Guild, that he was so proud of, had been broken so easily. How were they going to fight next? D***M*. The foreheads of the few emperor gods of the Witchcraft Guild were filled with cold sweat. Space Seal. The Witchcraft Guild has been more than 10 million years. More than 10 million years. I've waited for more than 10 million years. Today, I'm going to destroy you. At that moment Sky Formation, who hadn't made a move and had been preparing, let out an excited roar. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As he spoke, their bodies separated one by one. 9 heads of 9 different attributes flew in all directions. Rays of light shot out from each of the heads. 9 types of light shone on the entire area, covering half of Mount Wu. In front, all the emperor gods, experts, and disciples of the Witchcraft Guild were shrouded in it. Space Seal. This was the array formation that Sky Formation had been preparing ever since he learned that the Dragon Palace was going to attack the Heavenly Witch Domain. Not good. At that moment, the sorcerer's expression changed drastically. Boom, boom, boom. As the array formation collapsed, the group of emperor gods from the Dragon Palace rushed in. Behind them, the 100,000 Dragon Palace disciples also rushed in. How can this be? The Emperor Lord looked at this scene with a face full of unwillingness. He knew that the Witchcraft Guild was finished. In this short battle, he could sense that the 3 second-order God Emperor Realm Wind Divine Dragons were not people that a second-order God Emperor like him could compare to. It wasn't an injustice that the Witchcraft Guild's defense was destroyed, because the other party was a true divine dragon. Chapter 2885. Dragon Punishment 6-inch. Damn it. Why is the Dragon Palace so strong? How can this be? The 5 arrays crumbled one by one. The shaman's blood-red eyes stared at the Dragon Palace's experts, his body trembling. Before the battle, he was confident that the Witchcraft Union's array could defend this place. When the Inheritance array was fully activated, 4 to 5 Second Order God Emperor realm experts could defend against it. But now, it only lasted for 2 minutes. This was a domineering suppression. He knew that the Witchcraft Union was no match for the Dragon Palace. The Witchcraft Union was finished. Shaman, our space has been sealed. We can't escape back to the Divine Kingdom. Our space has been sealed. At this time, a voice filled with fear and panic sounded again. The Emperor's face was pale as he looked around. He was panicking. He had lost his will to fight. How can the Dragon Palace be so strong? Not good. The Sky Array God Emperor has set up an array. We can't escape instantly. Is that a real divine dragon? Is that a real divine dragon? On Wu Mountain, countless powerful disciples of the Witchcraft Association panicked when they saw that the Dragon Palace had broken through their defenses. They growled in fear. Jia jia jia. Go to hell for going against the Dragon Palace. Sky Array, do you want us to help you kill that disciple of yours? Roar roar roar, the Dragon Palace is awesome. Kill them kill them. At this time, the excited roars of the 8-headed Devil Shah and Invincible Jean could be heard from the front. Continue to attack, kill them all. Prime Minister Turtle stood at the back and ordered loudly. Woo woo woo. The 9 divine dragons continued to roar. Their terrifying dragon might surge towards them. The barbaric aura of Xiaolan's residents filled the entire Wu Mountain. The doomsday of the Witchcraft Union was here. Kill them all. The shaman roared with bloodshot eyes as he saw the Dragon Palace's experts continue to attack. Boom boom boom. The experts and disciples on Wu Mountain gritted their teeth and released their strongest attacks towards the people of Dragon Palace. Bang bang bang. However, facing the attacks of the Dragon Palace's 24 God Emperor realm experts, 4 of which were Second Order God Emperor realm experts, without the protection of the array formation, they were powerless to resist. The 2 Wind Divine Dragons locked onto the Sovereign and the Wizard. The other God Emperors of the Imperial Court and Chengwu Association were instantly suppressed. A Divine Wind Dragon flapped its wings towards a Wu Mountain below it. The entire Sorcerer Mountain collapsed in an instant. The powerful cultivators of the Sorcerer Association were killed in an instant. An incomparably huge dragon claw swept past a Wu Mountain, and the entire mountain instantly crumbled into rubble. Everyone on it was easily killed. Lord Magus, we can't stop them. An Emperor God from the Sorcerer Association couldn't help but shout at the Sorcerer Association. Break the formation. Everyone escape. When the wizard heard this, his heart tightened. He gritted his teeth and growled. Members in the rear, attack the formation and break it. The group of protectors immediately ordered the disciples loudly. The Wizard Association has been defeated. They are trying to escape. This isn't a battle of the same level at all. It's a one-sided massacre. The Wizard Association is finished this time. A force that has stood strong for 1 billion years is heading towards destruction. Divine Dragon, the Wizard Association has offended the wrong people. The heavenly witchcraft domain powerhouses, hiding in the surrounding void, were somewhat moved when they heard the order full of unwillingness. This was the strongest existence in their heavenly witch domain. Now, it was annihilated by the Dragon Palace. Trying to escape? It's too late. At this moment Wang Xian, who was standing in front of the dragon throne, smirked when he saw this. The unbeginning saint wings appeared on his back as he squinted his eyes. Boom! In the next instant, their figures disappeared. At this moment, the Wu Mountain was filled with endless screams. Facing so many God Emperors from the Dragon Palace, they had no way of defending themselves. Just you wait, Dragon Palace. Just you wait, Chengwu Association. One day, we'll make you pay the price. Pay the price in blood. The sorcerer faced a Wind Divine Dragon. His body trembled as he controlled the Purgatory World Array diagram as he roared. His voice was filled with endless rage. His force was annihilated. The blood feud would not rest until one of them was dead. Sorcerer, you want to annihilate the Dragon Palace? You have a death wish. At this moment a voice sounded in his ear. In an instant, The sorcerer's expression changed drastically as his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Oh no! His heart sank. Wang. In the next instant, the threat of death enveloped his entire body, causing his body to tighten. However, before he could do anything, he felt a sharp claw penetrating his body. Waves of destructive energy stirred in his body. The sorcerer's body stiffened completely. He widened his eyes and spun around in horror to see Wang Xian, who had appeared behind him. In case you have any trump cards to survive, soul assimilation. Wang Xian stared at the sorcerer with a smile. As the dragon claw stirred, a wave of energy spread towards the sorcerer's body. The sorcerer's life force was diminishing at a terrifying speed. Wang. How is this possible? Speed. His eyes widened and were filled with despair as he struggled to make a sound. His pupils slowly slackened. Waves of information entered Wang Xian's mind. Everything about the sorcerer and the secrets of the sorcerer were revealed. Lord Sorcerer. Oh no, Lord Sorcerer. The Dragon King killed our Lord Sorcerer. Trembling voices came from the surroundings, as some experts and disciples of the Sorcerer Association shouted in horror. What? The Emperor of the Imperial Court turned around, and his expression changed drastically. Looking at the Dragon King behind the sorcerer, his eyes were filled with fear. The sorcerer was killed instantly by the Dragon King's sneak attack. We can't stay here. Run, run, run. The Emperor of the Imperial Court murmured as he panicked. Run, run. The Sovereign Lord retreated rapidly as he roared at another Emperor God from the Imperial Court. Arg. The Emperor of the Imperial Court retreated behind the disciples of the Sorcerer Association and dodged the attack of the Wind Divine Dragon. However, the disciples of the Sorcerer Association were hit, and a large number of them died instantly. Wang. At this moment, the Emperor of the Imperial Court could no longer care about the lives of others. His body trembled slightly as he disappeared gradually. Roar, roar. The Wind Divine Dragon roared furiously as several wind blades shrouded him. Countless wind blades fell on his position, but they couldn't stop him. The array set up by the Heaven Formation could only trap a First-Order God Emperor in the Void region. It was useless against a Rank 2 God Emperor. Emperor Lord. That Emperor God from the Imperial Court roared when he saw the Emperor Lord escaping. His figure turned illusory, but soon, his face turned pale, and he revealed a look of despair. The sorcerer is dead, and the Emperor Lord has escaped. Leave no one alive. The 100,000 members of Dragon Palace, who were below the level of Emperor God, were filled with murderous intent as they charged forward. The eyes of Yaki Demon Shah and the others locked onto the peak divine kings of the Sorcerer Association. Their figures flickered as they killed them rapidly. The one-sided massacre had begun. The Witchcraft Association was much stronger than the Imperial Court. They had more than 50 peak god kings. There were 3 to 400 Ninth Order God King realm experts. There were more than 1 million experts above the God King realm. Although their numbers were similar to the Imperial Dynasty, their overall strength was several times that of the Imperial Dynasty. However, against the attacks of the Emperor Gods from Dragon Palace, their numbers were decreasing rapidly. No, I can't accept this. Not long after, an extremely shrill voice that was filled with unwillingness suddenly resounded. The members of the Witchcraft Association looked in the direction of the voice and trembled violently. A God Emperor powerhouse was killed. Boom, boom, boom. Arg. The death of an Emperor God seemed to have hastened the prelude to their demise. In less than 2 minutes, another 2 Emperor Gods let out a blood-curdling scream as their corpses slammed into a Magus mountain. Boom. Terrifying sounds of collision could be heard as their vitality faded away. Emperor Lord, Emperor Lord. The Emperor God from the Imperial Court lifted his head and bellowed in a low voice. Their Emperor Lord had already reminded him earlier. However, the creepy array had sealed the space around them. If they wanted to escape, they could only break through and fly out. However, they had no hope of breaking through from the 20-odd Emperor Gods. Death was slowly descending upon them. This feeling was enough to break an Emperor God's spirit. They didn't want to die. In the middle of the battlefield, Wang Xian carried the Emperor Lord's body and revealed a faint smile. He had guessed correctly. The sorcerer had a substitute puppet in his own holy kingdom. This was a treasure he had obtained from a secret realm. This substitute puppet was extremely powerful and could replace his death once. It could be said that this was a true life-saving measure. Summon your void holy kingdom. Wang Xian's voice exploded in the sorcerer's mind. The lifeless body of the sorcerer moved. In the sky above Wang Xian and him, an incomparably huge holy kingdom rose gradually. The holy kingdom spanned tens of thousands of kilometers and contained terrifying energy. Wang Xian moved, carried the sorcerer's body and flew towards his holy kingdom. What's this? The void holy kingdom of our Lord Sorcerer? Is our Lord Sorcerer still alive? Seeing the sudden appearance of the void holy kingdom, some experts and disciples of the Witchcraft Association were looking forward to it. However, the appearance of the holy kingdom didn't change their fates. We surrender, we surrender. Don't kill us, don't. Don't kill us. We're willing to hand over all our treasures. Don't kill us. When celestial thearchs and divine kings fell one by one, the disciples of the Sorcerer Association, who were on the Wu Mountain behind them, knelt on the ground and shouted loudly. They were really afraid. They had lost all hope of victory. Kneeling down and begging for mercy, this was their last chance. Some of them knelt down and surrendered. More and more disciples of the Witchcraft Association begged for mercy. Don't spare the God King experts. Don't give them any chance. At this time, the heavenly array's eerie voice sounded. Kill all the God King experts. The rest of the disciples of the Witchcraft Association kneel down and beg for mercy. Prime Minister Turtle pondered for a moment before ordering loudly. Not a single deity king was spared, whether it was the deity king's god nation or the deity king's body. They were all huge resources to the Dragon Palace. As for those below the god king level, they could spare them. After all, there were too many disciples of the Witchcraft Association. There were hundreds of billions of them. It was impossible to kill all of them. TSK, TSK, TSK. We've caught your precious disciple. Should we hand him over to you? At this time, Orochi's voice sounded. At the side, Roving Heavens and Aochi had completely bound the Emperor with blood-red chains. The 9 heads of the heavenly array looked over with cold, murderous intent in their eyes. Chapter 2887. The resplendent starry sky trembled in, Master, no, give me a chance. Don't kill me, don't kill me. In the middle of the battlefield, the Emperor screamed in horror. He was completely restrained by the chains. Seeing the murderous intent in Tianjun's eyes, his body trembled violently, and he begged for mercy. Just kill him directly. Let bygones be bygones. Tianjun stared at the disciple that he had taught for thousands of years. He closed his eyes slowly and said to Roving Heavens and the rest, He, you're too soft-hearted, old man. Let me torture him for you. Bachi laughed weirdly. In a flash, he came to the Emperor's side. With a swing of his arm, he gave him a slap on the face. Deceiving your master and destroying your ancestors will cost you your soul. As Bachi spoke, he waved his arm and dark energy surged towards the Emperor. Arga! A painful scream was heard. Tianjun closed his eyes and didn't move at all. The scream added a sense of horror to the entire battlefield. Some experts from the Witch Alliance shivered when they heard the scream from their Emperor God. What kind of pain could cause a God Emperor to be in such a miserable state? Bachi screamed weirdly. Black flesh and blood gushed out from his arm and entered his body, torturing him continuously. Arg! The screams reverberated. Other than some God King experts who were still resisting, the rest of the people on the battlefield were kneeling on the ground. The screams entered their ears, causing their bodies to tremble uncontrollably. Prime Minister Turtle, it's done. In less than 5 minutes, all the God King experts of the Witch Alliance were killed. Roving Sword flew over and reported to Prime Minister Turtle with a smile. Roar! 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 9 wind divine dragons roared excitedly in the sky above the battlefield. Their voices echoed throughout the entire Wu Mountain. They cooperated with everyone kneeling on Wu Mountain. This meant that the era of the Witch Alliance had ended, and a new era was about to begin. Bachi Devilish, Your venom-horned dragon species should have gotten some information. Take over this area and lead some members to collect all the treasures. The rest of the Dragon Palace disciples clean up the battlefield. Prime Minister Turtle ordered immediately. Yes. The group of Dragon Palace disciples responded immediately. Buzz. At this time, Wang Xian walked out of the Void Holy Kingdom slowly and looked down. Roar. The 9 divine wind dragons let out a deep roar and flew towards Wang Xian, circling around him. Everyone's eyes were focused on the Dragon King in the sky. Their eyes were filled with awe and respect. In this battle, apart from the Emperor of the Imperial Court who had escaped, everyone else was left behind. All those above the God King realm were killed. The destruction of the Imperial Court and the Shaman Association was single-handedly caused by the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. They had annihilated the 2 great forces and killed the wizards of the Shaman Association. He led the Dragon Palace to rise in power in a short period of time. After today's battle, the Dragon Palace would shake the entire starry sky, destroying 2 great powers in one fell swoop, ending the era of 2 peak powers. This was terrifying to the extreme. I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. In the future, the Heavenly Witch domain will be taken over by the Dragon Palace. Anyone who disobeys will be killed without mercy. Wang Xian stood high above and scanned the crowd below him, as well as every corner of the void around him. As his voice trailed off, a series of terrifying dragon roars shook the heavens and earth. It was a declaration of the Dragon Palace's position in this void. Pay your respects to the Dragon King. Mo Sha looked down at all the disciples of the Shaman Association and the Imperial Court kneeling on Wu Mountain and shouted sternly, "Greetings, Dragon King." On Wu Mountain, everyone's bodies trembled, and they immediately shouted out loud, "Greetings, Dragon King." Shouts after shouts reverberated throughout the area. The Dragon King has found us. With the strength of the Dragon King, he can naturally sense our presence. The Dragon Palace is taking over the Heavenly Witch domain. With the terrifying strength of the Dragon Palace, surrender. The experts of the Heavenly Witch domain hiding in the void immediately revealed themselves. The Heavenly Witch domain was not unified by the Shaman Association, just like the Imperial Star domain in the past. Other than the Heavenly Witch domain, there were also a few great forces. Although they did not have Emperor Gods, they had many peak God Kings. At this moment, after witnessing the terrifying strength of the Dragon Palace, they did not dare to take any chances. One by one they revealed themselves. "Greetings, Dragon King." They stood in the void and knelt down on one knee towards the Dragon King to pay their respects. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them and nodded lightly. "Let's go to the center of the Shaman Association's Wu Mountain." He looked at the group of Dragon Palace members and flew towards the front of Wu Mountain. According to the information he received from Sorcerer, Wu Mountain was a huge treasure trove, a force that stood for 1 billion years, a nest that had been in operation for 1 billion years. Anything taken out from inside would be fought over by countless experts. It was no exaggeration to say that if all the treasures inside were exchanged for resources, the Dragon Palace could give birth to 12 Emperor Gods. Secondly, he had obtained many treasures from the Void God Kingdom of the Sorcerer. The more precious ones were the substitute puppets, which could represent one's death. It was definitely a life-saving treasure. In addition, there were all kinds of treasures and secret manuals about witchcraft. It was a huge treasure trove. Apart from these, the Dragon Palace killed 7 Emperor Gods, including Sorcerer. Sorcerer was a second-order God Emperor, so the Dragon Palace could have one more second-order God Emperor expert. The remaining 6 corpses can increase by 6. As for the Void Kingdom, the Devouring Dragon can absorb the excess. As for the rest, the Dragon Palace can absorb them first. The Dragon Palace can absorb the 9 attributes of the Void Kingdom and reach level 8. Wang Xian murmured, his eyes shining brightly. The harvest this time would definitely be terrifying. The resources he had were only at the Emperor God level. There were more than 50 peak God King corpses, and a large number of treasures in their God Kingdom. In short, the Dragon Palace's strength would be greatly enhanced this time. The resources here are enough for me to improve again. He squinted his eyes and was in a good mood. He moved and soon arrived at the center of Wu Mountain. His gaze swept across the center of the major forces, and a smile appeared on his face. The Dragon King and the rest have gone to the center of Wu Mountain. I'm afraid the entire heavenly witchcraft domain will be in an uproar. In less than half an hour, the Witchcraft Union was defeated. Sorcerer was killed by the Dragon King, and the Emperor of the Imperial Court fled in fear. Not only the Witchcraft Union, but the entire resplendent starry sky will be in an uproar soon. The Dragon Palace is going to shake the world. In the void, the experts of the heavenly witchcraft domain muttered as they watched the Dragon King leave. Chapter 2888. In just 2 minutes, the defense of the Witches Association was breached by the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King attacked and killed the witches in a domineering manner. The Emperor of the Imperial Court fled in fear. In less than half an hour, all the Emperor gods in the Shaman Assembly Imperial Court were killed. The rest of the disciples only survived because they surrendered. The strength of the Dragon Palace is simply invincible. Those 9 huge creatures are divine wind dragons. They are divine dragons, real divine dragons, very terrifying. The Wizard Association has suffered a crushing defeat. In the future, the Dragon Palace will take over the Heavenly Wizard domain. All the experts of the forces hiding in the surroundings must show themselves and pledge allegiance to the Dragon King. The strength of the Dragon Palace is simply heaven-defying. It's too terrifying. The Wizard Association can't withstand it at all. Too strong. The Divine Dragon roar. The Dragon King is invincible. Today we, the ancient sorcerer sect, declare our allegiance to the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. In the future, the Dragon Palace will be our master, and the Dragon King will be our lord. The entire heavenly witchcraft domain was paying close attention to the Dragon Palace's invasion of the heavenly witchcraft domain. However, to everyone in the heavenly witchcraft region's disbelief, less than half an hour after the Dragon Palace arrived at Wu Mountain, they received a series of messages. In particular, when the ancient witchcraft sect directly issued a statement on the communication network, the entire heavenly witchcraft domain was dumbfounded. Everyone's jaws dropped as they read the information about Mount Wu. Their faces were filled with disbelief. The warlock was dead, killed by the Dragon King. All the experts above the God King level of the Shaman Association were dead. Not a single one was left alive. As for disciples below the God King realm, the Dragon Palace did not kill too many of them and let them go. Otherwise, the entire Sorcerer Association would be wiped out by the Dragon Palace. Only the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court managed to escape. The other God Emperors had all perished. Within a day, all 6 Emperor Gods of the Witchcraft Association had been killed. None of them had managed to escape. A God Emperor from the Imperial Dynasty was easily killed. Everyone in the heavenly witchcraft region widened their eyes in disbelief when they read the news. In the past, the Witchcraft Society was very strong, but many sects in the heavenly witchcraft domain did not surrender. But now, they have directly announced their allegiance to the Dragon Palace. How strong is the Dragon Palace? I'm almost 100% sure that there are divine dragons in the Dragon Palace, real divine dragons. In the communication network of the heavenly witchcraft domain, countless people were discussing. However, 3 hours later, everyone received a message in the communication network. Anyone who possessed a communication stone plate would receive this message. From today onwards, the Dragon Palace will take over the heavenly witchcraft region. In the future, the entire heavenly witchcraft region will be ruled by the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace will establish a new order based on the Imperial Star region. In addition, the heavenly witchcraft region and the Imperial Star region will soon be able to communicate with each other. This message announced that the Dragon Palace would completely control the entire heavenly witch domain. Everyone in the heavenly witchcraft region trembled slightly when they saw this message. The Dragon Palace wants to connect the 2 domains and control our heavenly witch domain. Is the Dragon King going to re-establish the order of our heavenly witchcraft domain? Are you going to provoke a lot of people and forces? Provoke many people and forces? Even the Wizard Association was destroyed within half an hour. The rest of the forces are just small fries in the eyes of the Dragon Palace. Didn't you see that the rest of the forces have already declared their allegiance? This piece of news caused an uproar in the entire Heavenly Witchcraft domain. But soon, all the people in the Heavenly Witchcraft territory found that the forces that could be called out in the Heavenly Witchcraft territory once again issued a statement on the communication network. Obey the Dragon King's orders. Obey the Dragon Palace's orders unconditionally. This, seeing how all the forces cooperated so respectfully, everyone knew that the sky in the Heavenly Witchcraft domain had changed. From the side, they could also feel the terror of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, all the treasures have been collected. The god nations of the god emperors have also been found. At the same time, on the highest peak of Wu Mountain, Tianjun came to Wang Xian with a beaming face and reported, "Great. Move an ocean to Wu Mountain, and we will build a dragon palace here." Wang Xian said to Tianjun, "Yes, I know there's an ocean nearby." Tianjun nodded immediately. Dragon Palace, the resources and treasures we've obtained this time can increase the number of god emperors by at least 25, doubling the number. In addition, we can add a second-order god emperor expert. Prime Minister Turtle exclaimed excitedly from the side, "Bring those void god kingdoms over, and let the Dragon Palace absorb them. In addition, after we build the Dragon Palace here, we need to carry out a thorough reform of the Heavenly Witchcraft domain. Send the experts of the Dragon Palace to kill all those vicious people. Leave the management to Qingwei and Feng Yuan." Wang Xian instructed Prime Minister Turtle. "Yes, Dragon King. I will assist the Dragon Queens to take control of the entire Heavenly Witchcraft domain as soon as possible." Prime Minister Turtle nodded. "When the time comes, we can get the 9 wind divine dragons to work together. It will be faster." Wang Xian chuckled and said, "Yes, Dragon King." Prime Minister Turtle replied, "The Heavenly Witchcraft domain was different from the Imperial Star domain. This star domain was chaotic and could not be compared to the Imperial Star domain, let alone the Sacred region. Although it was not like the Tian Fa Ancient Heaven region, it was filled with killings. There were many human experiments, killing people to refine treasures and many more. Since the Dragon Palace wanted to take over this star domain, it had to be reorganized. As for whether anyone resisted, they would be killed. Given the strength of the Dragon Palace, it was too easy to get rid of them. With Tianjun and the Wind Divine Dragons around, they could not escape even if they wanted to. After taking control of 2 domains, the speed of improvement of the Dragon Palace will be even more terrifying." Wang Xian murmured with a smile on his face. After killing more than 1,000,000 emperor gods from the Witch Alliance, the strength of the ordinary members of the Dragon Palace would be greatly improved. At the very least, the strength of the weakest members of the Dragon Palace would reach the 4th or 5th order Immortal God King realm. I wonder how 8 Desolation and 6 Directions would react if they knew about the situation here. Wang Xian's lips curved as he looked down at the mountains and rivers. Next, a huge ocean was quickly transported over by the 9 divine dragons and the Tianjun. The huge ocean was transported over hundreds of millions of miles, causing a huge commotion in the Heavenly Witchcraft domain. Such mighty power was terrifying. The ocean was carried to a part of Mount Wu and landed in the middle of the mountain. Wang Xian immediately established a dragon palace and established a connection with the Dragon Palace in the Imperial Star domain. "Xiao Xian, Heavenly Witchcraft domain has been conquered?" The girls received the message and immediately teleported over to ask Wang Xian. "Yeah." Wang Xian nodded with a smile on his face. "Next, you can expand the Dragon and Phoenix God Dynasty to the Heavenly Witchcraft domain and take control of this place. However, it might take some time. It's more troublesome than the Imperial Star domain." Chapter 2889. Prestige of Dragon Palace 1-inch. The Dragon Phoenix God Dynasty, which is in charge of the Imperial Star domain, will take over the Heavenly Witchcraft domain, while the Dragon Palace will guard Mount Wu. The founders of the Dragon Phoenix God Dynasty were the Dragon Queens of the Dragon Palace. In 7 days, The Imperial Star Region's AI will be connected to the Heavenly Witch region's communication network. At that time, the Heavenly Witch region will know everything that happens in the Imperial Star region, and vice versa. The ancient Magi and other large sects have gone to Mount Wu to pay their respects. Now that there are very few people on Mount Wu, the Dragon Phoenix God Dynasty's Empress has announced that talented people can settle down on Mount Wu. According to the investigation of the experts of the Dragon Palace, the evil sect has committed all kinds of evil deeds in the heavenly witchcraft domain. Now the Empress of the Dragon Phoenix God Dynasty has given the order to destroy it. The 9 divine dragons and a total of 12 emperor gods, including the heavenly array, have taken action. None of the evil sect members will be spared. Order is about to be established in the heavenly wizard region, a peaceful world. Over the next few days, major events took place on the communication network in the heavenly witchcraft territory. Every matter was earth-shaking to the entire heavenly witch domain. The establishment of the Dragon Phoenix God Dynasty, the interconnection of communication and teleportation arrays, and the acceptance of talented people in Mount Wu. There was also one thing that stirred the heavenly witchcraft domain the most. The Dragon Palace and the Dragon Phoenix God Dynasty were going to get rid of the evildoers. The Evil Stream sect was also a powerful force with an illustrious reputation in the heavenly witch domain. They controlled dozens of planets and practiced slavery. They treated hundreds of millions of people as cattle and horses, slaughtered them at will, and refined magic tools. In the end, the Dragon Palace sent 12 emperor gods to wipe them out. That was 12 god emperors. The evil sects did not have a single god emperor, but the Dragon Palace had sent 10 god emperors. It was especially so for the 9 divine dragons, which exuded a despairing aura. Those 2 heavenly divine dragons roared. Not a single disciple of the evil great sect was left alive. They all died under great pain. From the patriarch to the servant disciples, not a single one of them was left alive. Moreover, the 2 god emperors of the Dragon Palace tortured everyone from the evil sect for more than 10 hours before killing them. The entire heavenly witchcraft domain was in an uproar, and most people applauded. Some people who practiced evil sorcery turned pale. They either turned over a new leaf or fled the heavenly sorcery domain. The aggressive actions of the Dragon Palace also made everyone realize that the rules of the heavenly witch territory had changed. The Great Reform began. In less than a month, the heavenly witchcraft domain had undergone tremendous changes. Is the information confirmed? At this moment, in the sacred tower of the Holy Region's Holy Nation, the Sacred Master looked at Hong Fengyan and asked in shock. I'm sure. The Saint Lord should have received the news from our scouts. There shouldn't be any discrepancies. Hong Fengyan said with a faint smile. Sorcerers were killed. None of the heavenly witchcraft domain's emperor gods escaped. All the divine king experts were killed. The strength of this Dragon Palace is too terrifying. It's more than terrifying. Many people in the heavenly witchcraft region are now certain that those 9 creatures are real divine dragons. The legendary wind divine dragons are existences that stand at the peak of the universe. At the side, the 2 sacred region emperor gods exclaimed in shock. The Witchcraft Association is much more powerful than our sanctuary. As far as I know, the Dragon Palace broke through the Witchcraft Association's defense in less than 2 minutes. That wizard was instantly killed by the Dragon King. Only the Sovereign Lord was prepared in advance and escaped. Hong Fengyan continued. With the terrifying speed of the Dragon King, he is indeed capable of killing the wizard from the Witchcraft Association in a surprise attack. Dragon Palace, Dragon King, Divine Dragon. Xiao Yan, interact with the Dragon King in the future. With the current strength of the Dragon Palace, they are qualified to fight for the first place in the bedazzling star region. The Sacred Master's eyes twinkled as he said, to be able to destroy 2 of the 7 major forces in the bedazzling star region single-handedly, the strength of the Dragon Palace had far surpassed the Sanctuary region. In fact, the Sanctuary region might not even last a minute against the Dragon Palace. This matter might not have spread to the other star regions yet. Why don't we light a fire to spread the news faster? Hong Fengyan asked the sacred master with a smile. Hehe, after all, we have a good relationship with the Dragon Palace. Let's congratulate them on our artificial intelligence system. The sacred master chuckled. He had seen the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace before. Because of Hong Fengyan, the sanctuary region and the Dragon Palace would become good friends. This was enough for the sanctuary region. Hong, look at the message on the artificial intelligence system. Congratulations to the Dragon Palace for unifying the heavenly witchcraft region and killing the enemy. Gosh, what does this mean? The Dragon Palace destroyed the Witchcraft Association? They destroyed the Imperial Court? How long has it been since the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace left the sanctuary region? They actually destroyed the Witchcraft Association, the Imperial Court, and swept across a region. The strength of the Dragon Palace is too terrifying. They are simply nature-defying. Soon, the entire sanctuary region was in an uproar after the congratulatory statement from the sanctuary region was released. This was truly sweeping through an entire region, truly annihilating a powerful force of a region. 5 years ago, the battle for the rise of the Dragon Palace was fought within the Imperial Star region. Moreover, they didn't destroy the Imperial Court and didn't cause much of a commotion. But now they were truly sweeping across a region, destroying the other party in a cross-region war, and taking over a large region. Incomparably terrifying. This caused everyone in the sanctuary to involuntarily suck in a breath of cold air. The Witchcraft Association and the Imperial Court have been destroyed. I wonder how the Eight Desolation will react. At this moment, some people thought of the Eight Desolation. Not long ago, the Eight Desolation and the Imperial Court Emperor God had jointly headed to the sanctuary region to warn their Emperor God Hong Feng not to interfere with the matters between them and the Dragon Palace. In the end, the Witchcraft Association and the Imperial Court were destroyed by the Dragon Palace. What about the Eight Desolation? If the Eight Desolation were to learn of this news, they would probably piss their pants. At the thought of this, everyone in the sacred region was gloating. Next, let's see how arrogant you can be. The announcement from the sanctuary accelerated the spread of the news that the Dragon Palace had destroyed the Witchcraft Association and the Imperial Court. Among the 7 major regions, 3 of them were in an uproar, and the news spread to the surrounding star regions. Especially the 8 Desolation and 6 Directions. The 8 Desolation and 6 Directions didn't belong to the same star region. It was a place where experts from various regions wanted to make breakthroughs and search for treasures. Hence, the people in the 8 Desolation and 6 Directions came from various star regions and received news from various star regions in a timely manner. But today, a piece of news silenced the entire 8 Desolation and 6 Directions. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace led the Divine Dragons to attack the Heavenly Witchcraft region and destroyed the Witchcraft Association and the Imperial Court. The Emperor God of the Witchcraft Association and the witches were all killed. The Emperor God of the Imperial Court fled. When this news spread on the communication network of the 8 Desolation and 6 Directions, and was confirmed by many people, the atmosphere in the entire 8 Desolation and 6 Directions became a little strange, especially to the disciples of the 8 Desolation. Not long ago, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace killed the Wind God of the 8 Desolation, and the 8 Desolation ordered the Dragon Palace to give an explanation, or else they would pay a heavy price. After the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace left, he announced that the members of the Dragon Palace would be killed if they came to the 8 Desolation and 6 Directions. Moreover, they collaborated with the Witchcraft Association and the Imperial Court to destroy the Dragon Palace. But now, you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.